Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today is episode 3, as I've been corrected by Linda several times now, the last couple of days. I thought it was 4, but she recanted a couple of times and said it's number 3. So here we are. Today's going to be a big show, guys. It's going to be pretty intense for a lot of reasons. It's personal for me, it's personal for the people as well on this Zoom call today. And we have a really good guest today to help us out. Um, I'm going to have Linda introduce her. So, Linda, if you don't mind, please introduce Miss Misty for
Thank
us,
you.
please. You're welcome.
Well, I'm pleased to introduce my oldest daughter, Misti Turner, and she has a background in criminal justice and human services, both degrees, and has worked in those fields and is now a family approach coordinator who immediately talking to families when there's been a death. And so she has a broad experience over many years. And so she's going to help us with some research and some valid information of what she found in the field with regard to this silent epidemic. So back to you, Lenny.
That's what it is. That's the title of the show. And it truly is an epidemic these days that's been brought on by society and families. Um, Last I read, 1 in 6 separated families are experiencing some form of parental alienation, both moms and dads. I think dad's a bit heavier on the wayside, but maybe that's changed the last couple of days. I don't know. Doubt it, but it's possible. So, Misty, let's just dive right into it. You have a vast experience in dealing with families, children, um, some good, some bad, some indifferent, I'm sure. But I really like you to speak on your professional experience on what we're talking about because as we've been discussing amongst ourselves and others, this truly is becoming a major, in my opinion, major societal concern and issue. And so I'm not going to say we're going to solve it. I think for us guys, it's just awareness and making it more on the forefront of where people have to know this is going on and it's affecting lives from mental illness to suicide. Let's call it what it is. There's cases of it. It's quite prevalent, actually. And so I thought it'd be important to not for just myself to speak on it or Linda or somebody else has maybe experienced it, but a third party somewhat, and that'd be you, Misty. So just give us a little bit of your background and then just kind of give us some of the cases you've been running up against. I know we spoke about a couple last week. If you feel comfortable in speaking about those, feel free. But hey, for however long you want right now, the floor is yours.
Of course. So thanks for having me. So it is a hot topic. It's not a lot that people talk about. I also think it's not a lot that women talk about. There are a lot of different types of alienation, right? Parental alienation and then alienation. And basically what that means is you're taken away the rights of people to see other people, or you're taking relationships out of order to either make your life drama free or increasing the drama because you're targeting people that are you feel are alienate you.
Interesting.
I have experienced both personally and professionally. Um, just recently we had there's a lot of things with domestic violence going on. A lot of people think that parental alienation has nothing to do, it just is something that happens in the courts. Parents are kept away from their kids, it's not a big deal, and it's always a safety issue. That's not accurate. You'll find that 32 to 39% of the population, which I did the stats between 2025 and 2026, show that parental alienation is huge. A lot of those stats you can find whether Science Digest or go to your family courts or the FBI or the census. They're literally on Google for people to look. I just think people don't want to engage in that because they don't want to think that they're that person or they're that parent that are alienating another person.
Of
Um,
course.
right?
Oh,
Because there's
yeah.
a lot of reasons for it. I don't know about you. Okay, so let's do this. Where are you at in your situation? I know you. We're
Hmm.
friends. And you have kids, just like
Yeah.
I do. We both have been divorced.
Yep.
Tell me I think it's easier to tell people, like, tell me your experience and we can talk about my experience and we can loop in the research, because I think sometimes the research gets clouded past personal experience versus professional.
Yeah.
So what is your experience with your kids? And then you can ask me the same thing, because I was a child when it happened. And then I had kids and I was divorced. So kind of tell me where you're at, what you're experiencing, or did you have the perfect divorce and you co-parent perfect? If
It
you
was
do, I
beautiful.
need the magic recipe.
It was a beautiful disaster. How about that?
Okay.
No, here's a situation. I have two boys. They're grown. One's in college, a freshman. My youngest is a senior. And I've been divorced now 5 years, Misty. And this is very hard for me to discuss because, I almost feel humiliated, embarrassed, probably like a lot of other men do and women, because you just don't want to believe that your own children could almost turn on you. And, without going too much detail on how things went down, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was not perfectly innocent or the best dad ever. I mean, I try to be the best dad I possibly can, but that's a mute point because I love my kids no matter what. And when I got divorced, I actually thought that, okay, well, I'll at least have my time with my kids where I can work with them, teach them, and just show them about life in general. So, I've been 5 years now, divorced. Misty, I haven't spent a full day with my kids. Okay. That's the reality situation. And it's hard to believe, honestly. And when I say a full day, I'm not even exaggerating, Not only that, I haven't been given my due time that I have legally in my decree. And so what happens is you just kind of you step away from it. And I felt during a certain time period that it must be me, That's how I felt. Or just they didn't want to see me. And what I was finding out actually over time was that wasn't all the truth. You know, when I did end up splitting up and get divorced, I mean, my kids were in middle school, about to go in high school, so they were young, and so they were already being, how do I say this, somewhat programmed how to act, what to say, and there was other forces even behind, if you want to call my ex, that I believe were also pulling the strings. This stuff's generational. It really is. And so if you thought controlling somebody was how you dealt with things in your family, you can do the same. And it took me a while to catch on to it, really. So um, things were happening a lot. I was getting basically shunned at every corner, and I was trying to do everything I possibly could. Um, I meet all my obligations financially, above and beyond. In the beginning, I was going way above and beyond because I kind of felt guilty, shame, um, all those emotions you go through. And when I found out that wasn't doing me any good, actually it got worse at times. Um, I even moved from where I lived in the beginning to about 5 minutes from my children, and I saw them less, if you can believe that. I would even say, hey guys, you can stop by, stay in my condo if you wanted to. There's a gym, pool. I was hoping for that, right? It just didn't happen. And so my oldest son and I, we speak on a somewhat regular basis. Now, keep in mind, I reach out to my kids every day, at least by text. I don't get response every day, maybe not even every week. I've become accustomed to that, and that's okay. I've I've gone past them. You just asked, my experiences, and I would say that I don't know what you've dealt with, but I haven't talked to so many people it's been much worse for. If that makes sense.
No, you're right. And I'm sorry that you experienced that, but it's actually what a lot experience. So I'm going to start by my personal side, because I think that brings me full circle to the professional side and why I do, or why I advocate, especially a lot for men. And it does seem very weird for women that a woman is advocating for men on parental alienation.
And we
I
need
think
that.
the falsehood is that because women have children, that they are the alpha, they make no heirs, Moms birth babies. Moms should keep babies. Moms make the decisions. Mom pull the strings. Mom call the shots. Moms can't do any wrong. That's not factual. And the other thing with parental alienation, a lot of times there are times that it's a cover up for actual abuse, whether verbal, physical, or mental abuse. Because it's how people pull strings and also use kids and have triggers. I think I became most passionate. And again, I'm also going to be 54. So over time, I had to, this story starts when I was 7. My parents got divorced. My mom got remarried. Anyway, just small. There were some things going on that shouldn't have. So my dad filed, he was doing custody. It was a very long battle. They jumped state lines. And back in those days, no man was getting their kids. Like they just weren't. So you're watching as a young kid that you're moving states, you're watching your parents battle, you're getting to where you're not seeing your other parent. And then you've got both parents and then I had a step parent that nothing ever matched. Your dad is doing this, your dad is doing that. There was a lot of negativity around, there was no structure in trying to co-parent. That was rough. And as a kid, you're just like, I don't understand. And then when bad things are happening to you, you want out. And the adults around you aren't listening, or they're oblivious because it's their world. So they're like, that can't be happening. There was a lot of abuse that was going on. So, and there are multiple sides of this story, so I'm not going into any of that. But as a young child watching my dad fight custody, and then my mom was with somebody, it was it was very nasty. We were in court. There was trials. It was not healthy for kids. And then you're pitted against your parents, right? Because we were asked to choose.
Yeah.
We went to court. We were asked to choose, right? That's got to be hard for any parent. You don't realize that until you're a parent yourself. So no matter what negativity was going on, knowing that my parents were choosing and I got older and had kids, it was like, whoa. Yeah. But then there's no camaraderie with my parents. So over time, I never saw, you got glimpses maybe at a funeral that they might get along for like that 5 minutes they went. So the co-parenting was very toxic to where we were literally, you just didn't visit at all, or you did for a little bit, then you were pulled back again. It seemed like there were like years that you didn't do anything. Yeah. So then over time as a kid, you're learning to figure out, well, what does this really look like? And I don't think I realized it until I had kids. And then my situation was a little bit different. I got married. I had my kids. I was in a bad mental health spot. So my kids went to live with my ex-husband. So I could see alienation, but it was alienation for safety, if that makes sense. Because at that time I was mentally, and I tried to unalive myself. So I feel like that was appropriate, if that makes sense. He had the kids. He took care of them when I couldn't, right? Now, we didn't always co-parent right or get along, because then it became, I was not good. No matter if I did what you did, like flew over there to see my kids, or if they called me, I would do anything I would. But then finally, I think you give up and you kind of take a stance. And like in mine, I wasn't putting my kids through court because I had already been through court as a child. So I just took a whole step back. Well, guess what happens when you do that? Your kids think you don't love them. You're not fighting for them. So in yours, you're fighting for them, you love them, and you have a decree that says you do everything. It still doesn't make a difference. Your kids see what they want to see, and then they're hearing everything they want to hear. And you're right, outside influences, friends. And it takes a really strong person to shut people down in those situations, because people, what do they not want to do? Get involved in anything. Correct. Right. But they want to be messy, but they don't want to be positively involved and say what's happening is not correct. Over time, I took that. I dealt with so many men. I had so many male friends that were not allowed to see their kids. My best friend had kids, not allowed to see their kids. And the reasons were ridiculous. They came up with violent reasons, or the litany of reasons that they came up with, and then they were not factual. So I used to start thinking, like, how can this be different for men? Because women are not the golden goose. Yes, we give birth, but they can be just as toxic.
Last time I checked.
Right? Well, yeah. And these, yeah. Look, I'm like, yep.
That's what I believe.
That's what I believe. But they're the golden goose. They do no wrong. So as I was seeing this, I was watching my friends experience it, whether they were felons or whether they were my friends, they weren't allowed to see their kids. Why? Just because you're a felon, can you not see your children? That makes no sense to me. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody should be allowed to redeem themselves as long as it's safe. If it's not safe, then we put extra measures in and you go to mental health court, you go to criminal court, and you file with the courts. But the other problem is people don't want to take action and go to the courts. Or they don't want to follow through, or they want an easy fix. And with alienation of any kind or parental, there is no easy fix. It's going to stay where it is as long as people are going to be weak. And I say weak, not in such a disrespectful way, but you can't complain about something if you're not willing to fight for it or do something about it. And
Misty,
courts,
you made a good point. And sorry to interrupt, but
yeah.
before I lose this thought, speaking of felons, et cetera, when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, we had a family member that went to prison, white collar prison, but still prison. And my mom forced us to go see him, right? You know what I saw there? I saw dads that were also incarcerated, but I saw moms bringing those kids to see those dads, and the love was there.
Yes.
Okay. I think about that. I'm like, man. So I'd say quite a bit when getting a little feisty. I'm being treated. I speak for experience, worse than a criminal, because I've experienced. I've been to Leavenworth Prison, and I've seen families come and visit their father who's in prison with the children and spend time together.
Yes.
I might venture to say in my last 5 years, they get more time with their children than I have.
And
I'm just going on a limb.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
But
of course
you are
it is.
right. I'll tell you a really cool story, because I always tell people this story, especially fathers or felons, because I used to do a lot of volunteer work. Now that I'm in Vegas, I don't have some of the volunteer avenues that I did in Kansas City. But I was blessed to work in 3 counties in foster care for 7 years. One of the hardest jobs I've ever done. But I was blessed to be with St. Luke's, and I was blessed to be on Sunny Day's team, which was a powerhouse of women who supported people, not men and women, but people, for children, which makes a huge difference. When you're working for kids and you support both sexes and both parents, you cannot go into foster care, anybody that has their children taken, and support everybody but the parents. And people don't understand that. Everybody makes mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes, and I just didn't get arrested. There's no difference. So they have the right to earn their children back and show the courts that they can. I was blessed in 3 counties because I like to drive, and I had one of the most amazing judges in Johnson County. All my judges in Jackson, Johnson, and Cass were amazing. I would go back in a heartbeat and work foster care for them because of them. The advocacy was huge. The male judge we have in Johnson County, Judge Typin, who is also running again and needs to for men and women. He allowed me to take a child who was being raised by the father. The mother kind of stepped out. It was a younger father in his 20s. And of course, I'll just give a scenario based that's factual, but because of HIPAA, nothing else. This child was raised by his dad and the dad's parents. So he didn't know anything else except mom bleeping in and out. When this child came into care, mom, I couldn't get her to interact at all. And I know within 30 days, I tell my parents, I'm going to work for you as hard as I can, get your services set up, and we're going to get this moving because we want your kids home in 15 months. That's typically what you see in foster care is what it's supposed to be, but it's not that way. They stay much longer. Mom didn't engage. I knew that wasn't an avenue. So dad got arrested and put in prison. It was about 2 hours away from where he lived. Well, the big controversy was, how do I keep his dad engaged? And how do I get this child to see his dad when this child knew nothing but dad and his grandparents? Yes, the child was with the grandparents, but he still needs dad. I was blessed to have a judge that allowed me to take a toddler to the jail to do visits, the parental visits with dad. I was super impressed with the prison. They had an amazing playroom for fathers and mothers. They had an amazing set of books and videos and all this stuff dad could do. When I took that child down there, that child didn't know dad was in prison.
Mhm.
Yes, we walked through everybody's like, oh my God, Misty, you're taking this child who's 3
That's the
for a
impression I
medical
recall.
detector.
That's what I recall. Like they thought it was just
Yes,
playtime. Hey, it's dad. It's the weekend, etc. I can't tell you exactly when it was during the week too. At times.
exactly. So I would tell they were like, how are you going to do this, Misty? This is inhumane for this child. How is it inhumane? It's inhumane that this child's not seeing his father. And that's the only person he knows.
That's right.
It's an educational moment for me to teach a 3-year-old. I'm not comfortable going through security either. It's life. It won't just be now. It will be TSA. It will be everything. So use it as a teaching moment. So we made it fun when we went in there. But that child, I come sick or anything. If I couldn't do it, my team took it. But that child didn't miss visits. And that judge, I had never seen a judge allow that. And I was so thankful because that child was reunited with that dad when he got out, and they're successful. And I still keep in contact with him and the family like I do most of mine. And I use him because that relationship would have been destroyed if my young father was not able to do his son. And at least dad felt he was doing something and engaged completely. And do you know how many fathers were so upset when we walked in that this was occurring for this kid, but other judges wouldn't do it for them?
Mm.
I think we're so quick to take kids away from moms that give birth in prison and shuttle them away and not involve mom. That's alienation in itself. Yes, she made a mistake, but you're going to take her kid from her. Dads too. Everybody makes mistakes. You can redeem yourself. We all make mistakes. I think one thing my dad used to tell me is make a million mistakes. Just don't make the same one more than once because it's no longer a mistake. It's a choice.
Heard that.
So I live by that. But yeah, it's a very sticky situation. And you're right about felons, how people see things and you are treated in the same lump. I think it's really just the problem with parenting alienation is usually it can be a mask for domestic violence in the home, or you're dealing with more of a narcissistic, disrespectful person who's really just angry that they're not winning at something. And the
Correct.
only way they can control somebody is with your children. Men and
Correct.
boys love their moms,
Of
but
course.
they're going
Of
to be
course.
protective, right? So you're in a really rough spot, just like when I would deal with my other dads. You kind of have to look at their age too. And I know you and I have talked about it. The older they get, the more they see. We used to defend ourselves all the time, including myself. What I learned is the more I defended myself, the more guilty I looked and the worse I looked.
Likewise.
Right?
Likewise. Well, because
I'm
it's going to be used
mouthy.
against you. It's going to be used against us every
Exactly.
time.
And you're hot-headed. I'm hot-headed. And if they know that, that's pretty much where they get me, right? I don't know about you, but where they get you at. Because I get got for my mouth and being hot-headed.
Yeah, I've really worked on that a lot, Misty.
Yes.
But that it would just be. I mean,
Out of
I couldn't.
passion, right? It's passion.
I mentioned on one of the other episodes. I mean, I knew it was happening, and I still couldn't help myself, respond because it was personal attacks,
Very.
and it was completely false. So, at that time in my life, 2-3 years ago, I'm gonna still defend myself. I don't care what what at the time the consequences were, and they were always profound because guess what? It just made it worse for my kids. Any progress I made had taken 20 steps back.
It did because they're protecting mom.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And they're thinking that mom is not.
And I respect that.
Right. But they're also with girls and boys, they're thinking that mom can't be telling me that something that's not true. Right. My dad can't be telling me something that's not true. How awful. And I know from personal, how awful it is to be in a situation where you love both your parents and you're literally told heinous shit about your parents.
Yeah.
From each other. And you're a kid going, so then what do you start doing? Trying to put 2 and 2 together. You're not equipped with all their tools. So you're trying to navigate this process and navigate who's right, who's wrong. And then you're developing your own opinions. Then you get older, you walk into your own life, girlfriends, boyfriends, maybe kids. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. It really is about sometimes you just got to sit in the back and let the smoke screen go. And I know for me, I've done a lot of work, especially these last 4 years, because we're also in a generation where our older kids will shut us out.
Yeah, they will.
They want to stop curses. They feel they want to do a lot of change. So they'll be like, I ain't got nothing to do with you no more. And you're just like, what? And then you toe the line, because if they're adults, my best friend told me, if you, what your kids are doing or what you taught them, right? You taught them boundaries, you taught them this, you taught them that. So when they put that boundary on you, you're mad. But yet he's like, Misty, where did you get it from? Oh, my bad. Me.
Yeah, they learn from example, obviously, and
Yeah.
some are better than others.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from my perspective, I never spoke ill of their mother ever to them. I'm kind of proud of that. But even though
you need
I
to be
wanted
proud of
to,
that, because that doesn't happen often.
the only thing I would say at times when I was feeling that like they were believing I wasn't meeting my obligations, I would have to show them in writing. Guys, here it is. And
right.
It happened once, twice, in their face, like, whoa. I can just tell, oh, so you're being told something totally different, huh? Well, here, boom.
Yeah.
Just lay it out. And that's all I had to do.
And that worked for you, right? It worked. I guarantee you that probably worked better. Did it work better than you telling them that you didn't, what you did?
Of course. Of course. And they're smart kids. They can figure, they read a couple lines and they see the money that's going out is being spent. Like, we're here and you don't pay anything.
Right.
Really?
Well,
oh, okay. Well, here's the facts. Take with what you want to,
I think a lot of us have to have proof, right? We're in a day and age where you have to have proof, and these people got the phones. I'm big. It was the same thing when I had parents or anybody. I'm like, write name, number, and write it down. Because eventually you're more powerful than using your mouth and just showing facts. So the quieter you are, and then also gauging, are they old enough at this point to see what I'm going to show them, right? Because everybody's at a different age. They could be 20 and they're like 10, or they could be 10 like 20. And gauging whether or not
like
there's any. Right. Because sometimes it's not appropriate. They're not even going to understand your receipts anyway.
You're right.
So I've just gotten to where the ones that bash the loudest are usually the ones that are the most guilty. And I sit back and watch that. The ones that say everything they're doing right and they're never accountable, but they speak accountability and transparency. Those two words grind my gears. Because people ask for transparency and accountability, and I need them to look at the definition because I don't think they really want it. Yeah. Accountability is taking accountable. If you're being a shitty parent, you're accountable for being a shitty parent. You know what I mean? If you're doing dirt, you need to be accountable for it. And transparent is, I'm getting ready to lay everything out on the table. How many people really do that and want that and do it 100% legitimately? It's few far in between.
They don't want the truth. They can't handle the truth, actually. No. And that's when they have to project onto us something that, what you said, they're more than likely guilty of. And I didn't understand that concept because I don't operate that way. I will let you know how I feel, right to your face. And if you don't like it, okay. Well, what's your resolution then? Because here's what I'm dealing with. I don't go behind people's backs and make up these. Number one, I don't have time for it. Don't want to. Don't need to either. When you realize the other party is doing that, it's tough to combat because number one, I'm not going to defend myself to my kids, but they're spending all the time with that other parent.
Right.
So if they're saying something about myself or these people that you know as well, they're going to take it as gospel.
Yep.
Because I haven't seen my kids in a week or so, So, and for all they know, I'm doing like stuff they're talking about, which is absolutely false. But so it's a slippery slope, that's for sure, that you fall into.
It is, and it's also, I don't know about you, but I always walked in situations where my kids or other people confront me, but like they would accuse me of something I did. I'm like, when did that happen? Yeah. And I used to defend myself so much, and it took these last 4 years where I don't defend anything because I really think that people don't know what another goes through, and there's a lot I've been through that most could never walk through, nor overcome, nor stand where I'm standing now. So I take pride in that, and that's actually when I became more quiet, and that scares people when you move differently. If they're used to you, like in the situation you're in or I've been in, if they're used to you, I would be like attack mode. Like, no, you didn't. That did not get me anywhere. It made me look more guilty and it made more drama and more problems. The more quiet I get, people are like, what is she doing? Where is she going? Why is she not loud?
not only that, Misty, it's better for our psyche as well.
It is. Mental health is whoa.
And because they're going to feed off our anti-message to them and our
Mhm.
defense, and it does nothing for us. But to your point, the moment you go silent, they get worse.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one. I've had to pretty much not conversate with some of these people, unfortunately, just because of that.
No,
You know,
absolutely. It's because you scare them.
well,
I've
it's like
noticed that.
if we're not talking about my kids, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
so
there's a boundary there.
you could bash me all you want to. I want to know what's going on with my kids. All right, that's what I want to know. If it doesn't involve them, and if you think I owe you money for something, just send me a receipt, which they usually do anyways. You owe this. Okay, fine.
Well,
Um,
but you also
so
don't want to, another avenue to that, and I watch dads do it, is they'll have child support, and child support is set by the courts to take care of your kids. But what I was seeing happening is when I had working with dads a lot, is they would pay the money and moms were like, not good enough. Now I need this, this, and this. I get it because I've watched it where people will go above me. I know that's my kid. I need to do that. Absolutely not. Because you know what happens? If you don't stay in the court and set that law, because then a lot of people were like, my mom's too. I don't want to put them on child support. Then I don't want to hear you complain.
hmm
Even if they're not going to
hmm
pay you, it's the precedent that you started that you're not playing any games. We're going to do this by the court. And then I know people say, well, we have a court order and it doesn't get followed. Hey, I've been there, right? Been there. However, it is one of those things when you have kids and you're fighting, you're doing things, you better have a bank account. You always need to go to the attorneys. But there are a lot of resources. I would put my dad's, especially in Jackson County, they've got different laws through like UMKC Law School, and where they will help and they will mediate. And the state of Missouri actually, fathers and mothers can go in and request a mediation for free. It's not money. And I used to help dads go through that process so they'd be able to get in writing a mediation plus a custody agreement or something to help them to be able to see their kids. And then once the mediation was done, if the mom didn't follow or the dad, then the court stepped in. Is it a lengthy process? Is it frustrating? Are there setbacks? Absolutely. But I always felt your child, if your child is as important as you say it is, and it doesn't really matter, right? You're going to do it.
I
And you're
believe
going
that.
to have to protect yourself. You can't, there is no going out in this world today. And I'm sure I'll get a lot of grief from this saying, I trust exactly what you're going to say and you're going to hold yourself to it. BS.
Misty, I literally have a attorney on retainer just for stuff like this,
Yeah.
and I can tell you, I've had to send letters before, and unfortunately, nothing really happens, but it's in writing, it's documented, and I've documented everything too. And now I'm past all that now, but
Yeah.
I'm in the recovery phase. Just hopefully one day we can get back together on somewhat of a relationship level. That's my hope, anyways. But yeah, if you don't protect yourself, guys out there, men and women, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can't just go off what the other person says by any stretch of the imagination.
No, especially if
Um,
you love somebody or you love somebody and had a relationship with them because there's so much undercurrent that's there. Some heal, some don't. Some think they did nothing wrong. Others feel like it's all their fault. You're going to have to work through it anyway um, to be just a better version of you, or really just to live in today's society. Um, you just,
that's also true.
I think for kids, they got to see a lot on their own. We're literally in an environment now where a lot of stuff is not factual and it's in our face. They go to social media a lot. A lot of people don't make decisions based on their own. They're asking Chat GPT.
That's right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
true.
So I'm a firm believer in trust your gut, pay attention to the signs around you, ask a lot of questions. Even if you're kids, I would have my kids on my caseload ask me questions. I was very honest with them. Of course, you taint it, right? When I had a parent that wasn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, that kid knew when those visits were. That kid knew that if my parent aide dropped off, that Miss Misty was going to take that because they were still going to see their parent. Now, let me tell you, I told all parents, if you don't show up for them visits, depending on the age of the child, they're going to know that you didn't show up. It has nothing
That's
to do
right.
with me. So don't go to that next visit telling a untruth, because my goal is to put you back in that family to where you're starting fresh on a whole new level. You've got mental health in, you've got all these different things. Don't do that. And I had parents that literally still talk to me. One that was an addict and suffered horrible abuse and watched a murder. her kids were with us for a really long time. She was the opposite. She had alienation from her family.
Mm.
We put those kids back before I came to Vegas. Those kids are still back. And that mom is still clean after 5 years, and I hear from her. So alienating people, you're acting as if people can't change. And people have the
Yeah.
right to change and they have the right to grow. But a lot of people don't have support for that. It's why it doesn't matter if I know you or I don't. I'm hugging you like my brother used to do, which I was not a hugger. Once my brother started that, I hug everybody. I have homeless people that hug me and just say, there's something about you. Or they'll just say, let's talk. I like that. I like that in my families that I still have contact with my team. I have contact with the families I put back. And even with the families that I didn't put their kids back and they lost their rights. People think that's weird. It's not. They respected me because I toed the line and I worked with them. They didn't get their kids back because it was their choice, their fault, not mine and not their children's. But we built relationships with them and the foster families and the family took them in. So they still had a relationship with those kids. But alienation can happen is that you can set court orders even in family court, and people that are adopted in guardianship, they alienate the parents, even though there's a clear line of mediation. They're supposed to keep the parents involved, whether with writings, pictures, or something like that. So simple, and they don't do it.
Wow.
So a lot of things are disheartening, but I'm one person and I'll advocate till the cows come home.
Appreciate you doing that. And that's what we're all trying to do here is just advocate for others. You know, that was my mission. That was some of the story behind why we even started this is, and Linda can be attest to it as well, is we're really just, we want to help others that are going through this because there's no reason to have this suffering in silence anymore. You know, it's prevalent enough now to where it could be discussed in the open, and it needs to be.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's going to keep getting swept under the rug, and that's
Right.
why they keep getting away with this crap. Quite honestly, you know.
It
So
is.
I'm the belief it stops now. That's in my mind, right? Like I'm gonna
Right.
stop this. You know, and
There's a lot of things you can do as a man that I can't do as a woman, right? So you can be a woman advocating for a man, and people think that you're submissive. There's so many things I get called for doing it, or just sticking up for people in general. I thrive off that though, because it's successful. So you're digging at me for being successful. That doesn't make any sense. And you're mad at me for advocating for a man because I'm a woman. Doesn't make sense. Everybody has a right to be in their kids' lives as long as it's safe. Now, there are times that absolutely, without a doubt, will put my fist down and say that person should never see that child until A, B, and C. Yeah. And make them live up to that and make them toe the line for that. But I think with this podcast and this, you know, I think also people have this assumption that it's only certain males that get taken advantage of, the ones that look weaker or don't have a lot of money or things like that. And that is so not true. It affects tall men, short men, colored men, white men, good looking ones, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Right, and I think it's good for people to know that it's not one type of man. It could be an athlete. It can be, we see it all the time. There's a lot of stuff that we can do.
No, it affects everybody. That's for sure.
Right. And I think surrounding everybody in today's world, being one, and stop being so dang judgmental and look at a person for being a person to get them through and ask them, are you okay today? Is there anything we need to talk about? Because the bad thing to parent alienation or any alienation of any time, and I can speak on this because I'm alive after trying to take my life, is life is short. You want to stay here, even if you think you don't. It's hard. It's hard to survive when you thought you wouldn't be here. But you don't give up hope and you fight for those that can't fight. There's a lot of love behind that.
Man, that's well said.
And a lot of respect. And that's how I do it. I stick up for mostly those that don't stick up for themselves, and I will continue to do that because it's hard to watch. My husband will tell you I get involved. Like if there's a domestic violence outside, I promise you I'm outside. If there's a person that's bleeding in the street, I'm pulling over. It's just who I am. My husband's like, no. Don't do that. I'm known for that. It is what it is.
I like it.
But don't give up. But I think your reach could be, there's a lot of different programs. I've looked into programs. Could I start them? It's kind of why I wanted to do Power to Renew. For life coaching, it was really just a combination of personal and professional experiences that I could speak on and work with people on, and not hold them to such a strict like program. Like, we're all human, we change daily. My mental health changes every 10 seconds sometimes. But it's being able to it's being able to recognize
It
that.
kind of makes sense, Misty,
Yeah.
with all of us.
Misty,
Some days
take
I
the
tell
time.
them
Misty,
I'm great.
now's the good time. Take the time to tell people about the website and give them the actual URL for it so they can write it
No,
down.
I actually don't. I know this is going to sound weird, and my mom's going to be like, I
Oh,
gave it to you 50 times.
okay, I'll do it then
I
for
don't
you.
have the Power to Renew website, but let's see if I can get through this without being emotional or making my mom and Lenny cry too. Um, so when
Good
my
luck.
brother was killed, my brother always thought I could be an entrepreneur, and God bless his soul, the boy could be an entrepreneur and everything. And Misty was the oldest and raised in a generation where you go to school and you get a degree or you get out and work. And that was very much instilled by both my academic parents. Um, there's four of us, three with my mom and my dad, and we all went different directions, but me and Dusty went to college, and my sister is a very successful hairdresser and just took a different route. Dusty always thought, why do you want to be a boss? Why do you want to have a boss? You could do what you want to do. I was always scared to never take that leap. When Dusty was killed, I was like, nothing's working, because I had just moved to Vegas. It was supposed to be this amazing experience, and now it's shit.
Yeah.
But my daughter was here and TikTok came around, which was weird. And she's like, Mom, why don't we start something to get you some followers on TikTok, and let's like see if we can get 5,000 followers. Cause at that time back, it was been about 2.5 years ago, TikTok, you could do collaborations. And my brother was really big on love and more love. And we tried to go that route with a company that shut us down because of, I can say it online, BG. So I was like, cool. My daughter gave me three things. I rallied around it. I got 5,000 followers in less than 7 months. People supported me. It was about genuine, no filters. I was very candid about my mental health journey about grief. And I'm off the cuff wild with my mouth at times. Then the goal was, one of my friends said, hey, you now can do collaborations. Let's make it for your brother's birthday. You have your first sale. And let's see where TikTok can go. September 27th, I made my first sell on TikTok as a collaborator and an influencer. And now I have almost 9,000 followers because of it. My brother had faith in me when I did it. 3 or 4 years ago, I started Power to News. I was like, how can I give back? Because I do a lot of this without pay, right? In the streets, family, friends. So I developed Power to Renew. Of course, during my journey these last 4 years after his death, I've been in a lot of different therapies. When I thought I was healed, wasn't. Now I actually can say at almost 54 and 2025 ended, I'm healed. I'm good. He's here. Crazy things happens to me with tech shit. I know that sounds wild. So I'm always cussing him out. There was one night I was on a different journey with Power to Renew, and a whole spoon moved in my sink that was in water, and I don't know why. So I know he's here. Him and I are very much alike. We were very abrasive, very powerful, hustle free. Like, we really were good on our own if we had to be, which I don't think was a very good quality. We could shut down the world. And I've learned to open it up more. But Power to Renew came about. We also redesigned it. And what it was is to empower people and to work with people that have tried to unalive themselves, which I hate that word because I don't know why we changed it, because that's just a deflection of what it really is. It was a dang suicide attempt. Also, I was an addict when I found out I was really ADHD. And so I'm coming up on 27 years in April, no drugs, no unaliving, and powerful and helping people that most people don't help. So whether it's addiction, homelessness, finding resources, I can investigate and find out anything. I love working with people that feel that they have nowhere to go. And not because it's a challenge, but because they don't know me and I really do care about them regardless. With the job I do in Vegas, it proves it. I talked to over 500 families last year alone, right after death. I work for organ and tissue transplant. Most people don't know anything about the tissue side, really. They only know about organ donation, but that's another topic that I'm passionate about. So I literally am one of the first voices, along with my amazing coordinators and partners that I work with in our leadership team, talking to families within 1 to 2 hours after death, tragic, medical, whatever, in the state of Nevada. So you're angry, and I'm like one of the first people you talk to. You know how hard it is to talk to people that you've never seen and be on their level in the most tragic times, getting yelled at, listening to them cry. I had a dad that dropped on his knees wet out of a shower because the 16-year-old son took his life. But I was the one person that got him and stayed with him during that process over the phone. I pride myself in the work I do with families and people that I don't know or do know. So this was more of an homage to my brother, that it can be done. I have a lot of responsibilities and work a lot of jobs. So it's in the process. The goal was to have 6 months in 2026 to have clients. I just know that when it happens, it'll happen generically, because I do have a lot on my plate, but that's the goal. And so far I've stuck to it, and I've made every goal, and hopefully making him proud. But I think I'm good for people, not for everybody. I tell people on TikTok, I'm good for some, but not for everybody. So scroll on. But I'm a fighter and I'm loyal. And I think a lot of people need that now. And have people love you for just you or just encountering someone. I'm really open these days. There's a lot of homeless in Vegas. I walk and shake them to make sure they're alive. I have found some people that were not. I don't know, just some human decency things that we don't do. But that's what Power to Newer is about. But I try to do that in everyday life, regardless of whether I make money or not.
Well, so here's where you can find Power to Renew.
Linda found it. She was doing research in the background there.
Right?
HTTPS: www power, POWER, and then numeral 2, then the word renew, RENEW.com. And it's really cool because you'll see Misti's avatar. We're actually both on there together, but it's different skills. And this is about her. And she's got an avatar. And then when you push in and go in, you really get to see her and all of her background and everything. And so it's about, and just like we're doing with the podcast, we are meant to grow every day and evolve. And yes, we'll take back steps. We'll go a few steps forward, we'll go backward again. But the goal for life in this physical realm is to grow, transform, and evolve and become new. You know, we have opportunities to do that on a daily basis. And until we really make that our mission, we came here when we incarnated into whatever you believe, but when we came here in a physical world, we're here to learn. We have lessons to learn, and life's a lesson. And we can either move with the ebb and flows or we get held back. And I know from experience, it's not easy, but we can do it. And so I think you'll really enjoy working with Misti. And I think that would be, if you need it, Power to Renew is the place to go.
You know, and with me too, in public, anywhere you go, I don't know about anybody else, but surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed. Because the more you raise your bar and the more you rise, the more hate that comes for you. And utilize that as something positive. But always look at people. Look at the homeless person on the street. Do you know that most homeless people are not homeless because they're addicts? They're homeless because they've lost families in car crashes. They've lost their job. They've gotten divorced. They've been alienated from their kids. Listen to their stories and support people. Stop downing people for where they're going and what they're doing, and uplift them. The world will be a much better place. And I don't know about you, but even when I was teaching, I used to tell people, I'll see you. My favorite thing, and if my students watch this, they'll tell you, Miss Misti will see you on the flip side. And what that meant was, I just trained you to do the best you could in phlebotomy and MA. Now I'm going to work with you out here. My name is on your back. I expect you to treat everybody the way I treated you and the way I taught you. And you know what? It works because they always work with me and then they see me on the other side. Um, and it gives you a lot of fulfillment to surround yourself with people that you see grow. Um, and for me, standing up for the underdog and standing up for those that can't fight for themselves. Oh, I fight.
Well, and I think people
Yes, you will.
get so stuck because growth is hard.
Well, I don't
Change,
think growth is hard. I think what's hard is people don't take accountability
well,
and they won't look at themselves.
exactly, because
The
it's not as
hardest
good
thing
as
you
you
can
feel.
do is look at you. If you don't look at you and you can't be honest with, if I can't sit there and say, I did meth, I did cocaine, I was an addict, you are not taking accountability and you are not looking at you. If you can't step back and see what wrong you did do to your kids and where you do need to change, then you have issues. That's the biggest problem I have with people today is they'll say, I changed, I took accountability. What accountability? Because you don't. You're still telling me what you didn't do. No one wants to look at themselves. The hardest things I ever did, and I went through all therapy, was these last 2 damn years. The intro perspective you have to do for yourself is whoa. And you won't like 99% of it.
And that's our shadow self,
Yeah, it's why
our
I'm called
duality.
duality.
But Misty, you're missing another big piece of change. You know who it's really hard on? The ones that don't want you to change.
Oh, yeah, I know. You know why?
So
They
there's that,
dislike us.
as you said, it's see on the other side. Wait a second, they don't like this new person. They're like this. I can't manipulate this person. I can't
No.
control them, and that sends them in a tailspin
Tailspin.
typically. So
Yeah.
change is hard. But I'm with you. It's sometimes harder on that person who you're trying to change from.
Yeah.
You know, and keep that in mind, people. That's a big time roadblock you run into
It's
is
actually one of the biggest ones, I feel. Like
I
the more you
from even
grow,
from your kids, like, wait, who
anybody,
are you now, Dad? You know, I'm like, hey, I'm not the same guy I was. You know, not that I was
right?
that bad of a guy I thought to begin with, but I've had to make even more extreme changes because of some of the challenges I've run up against. You know,
Yeah. And that
and
could be professionally too.
of
You know what I
course,
mean? Like
Oh,
if we
of
have to
course,
absolutely.
change and personal and we have to do all that, I never realized how many people prey on downfalls because I'm not that type of person. Even to be my worst enemy, I'm not praying on your
right.
downfall. Actually, I'm praying for your rise so I can be like, now you met your match, let's go. Because now you're on my level, right? The more I did, whether the influencing, a lot of stuff organically did from TikTok, then I became Amazon, then to Facebook, the more hate I got. You know what I do? I don't engage with the hate anymore. I did like the first years. Now I'm like, I wish you well today and put you in a cup on a shelf and say, I love you, holler at you and walk.
Hey, Misty, you want to hear something I like? Another prime time quote. They didn't build you, so they can't kill you.
Kill you. I like that. I like that. We need
I
to
didn't
put it
say
on
it.
a shirt.
Well, Dion's well. Like I said the other one 2 weeks ago, I guess, and but he also said that they didn't build me, they can't kill me,
Yep,
and that's just about the haters, man. That's the truth
it
right there.
is. And
Makes a lot of sense.
what's even better is when you've been around people and they gravitate towards you. And then, like that saying, then you'll hear people say it behind you, or I'll hear my students who are now teachers say, I'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah,
Because certain things like that resonate because that lets you know that you resonated with that person and like they're there to support you. They're going to take you. I'm very much okay if you tell me you can't stand me, but why would you pray for my downfall if you don't know me? Like, I like haters because that's all I've been the black sheep anyway. Those things don't bother me. So, I come from that generation where we didn't tape everything. So the facts are in our brain. They're not on
right.
tape. They're not on social
And
media.
what you see is what you get with us. We keep
Right. It's why I cut
we
TikTok that
sometimes
way.
we keep it too real, but hey, at least you know where we're coming from.
No, I'm a
I'm not
lot
doing it
like
conniving,
you. And
you
like
know.
Dusty was that way. I would
Oh, of course.
what you see is what you get. There's no filter. Even on
No.
TikTok, I don't do filters unless like a fun thing. It's not. If I'm telling you this is how my mental health this day, then I'm telling you this is what it looks like. This is how it is. I ain't got time to put makeup and do all that stuff and make you think I'm some type of way when I'm not. I have friends that go to sleep with all their makeup and they have husbands that have never seen them without makeup. Tell me how that works.
What?
Imagine.
Yeah. Nah,
Dude,
I ain't
you're a
out for
trip,
that.
man. I love it though. But here's the deal. we got to have you back. We're coming up on an hour now. I'm going to use a corporate jargon, kind of taking it for landing, as a good friend of mine I always like to say. Linda, um, it was kind of, you're in the background today, but you're always profound. How do you want to close this show out? Have you thought of anything?
I think, mm, I think that listening to everything was so powerful. And I hope that everyone found that. And we've only scratched the surface of this silent epidemic
Oh
because
my God,
there's so many
absolutely.
avenues with it and much more to
I had
talk
the
about.
funds, I could build a company just focused on
I
it.
mean, when I'm thinking about all
Probably
that,
need to.
but
Right? If I could, I promise you, if I had money, I am a avid learner and avid, like, let's figure it out. If I had the money, those would be things that I would be doing. It's just right now, life coaching is the one thing that's the least
We'll, we'll,
expensive
we'll
compared to
find you
the
the
rest.
money. We'll find you the money. Don't worry about that.
but
That's easy.
I think what I'd like I'm hoping that the audience really was able to understand some of the hurt and the instability and all of the ache and heartache that you guys have, that everybody's gone through from either professionally, personally, or whatever, and can recognize pieces of themselves, or their family systems. And we haven't even got into any of that. Most of this is just surface level at this point. But I think take today, and you've heard two people's stories, both personally and professionally. And what does that do for you? How does that resonate with you? Are there questions that you have? We'd be happy to answer them at some point. If there's questions, Missy will be available. You've got her website now. You can go to her. You know where to find Lenny and I at any point. But just know that moving from one point to the next, it can all be baby steps, but that's movement and that's growth and that's change.
Evolution.
And it's part of the evolutionary process. And so we're all still in the process of evolving wherever we're at. I
That's
know
the key.
that these two, just like me, I don't want to be where I was.
Oh
I
no,
don't. And my
it's not going
goal
to
I'm
is,
happen.
nowhere, I'm not the same person
no, and I'm not the same
now that I
person either.
was 4 years ago. And
No.
people will say it's because of grief. It probably was. And the unfortunate thing is it took the loss of him to grow.
And so we just know that as a collective, we want to come from the heart. We want to come from a space of care and listening because everybody's worth being heard. And so
Facts.
many times what's happening today is nobody's really heard because you've already have a judgment about what you want and what you want to do. It's not from the heart, and it's not trying to find a solution or peace, and there's very little peace right now, and there's a lot going on that's pretty devastating. And so this is coming from a beautiful spot. Both of you did a great job. Great job. I know it wasn't
So did
easy,
you.
you
No, it's
know.
not.
Yes,
So
remember this is raw and unfiltered, and you can tell like it is because my ADHD is all over the place. Um,
Squirrel.
Especially when you're done with personal. So he ain't lying when he said raw and unfiltered, and I say it on TikTok too.
No,
mhm.
that's how we roll, man. I said it last
That's the
time
only
on the
way I know how
show.
to roll.
I said we're not professionals here, but each episode we've gotten better, and
We're
we're on
learning.
Zoom. We don't I don't have a professional camera. We're all trying to piece together how to put our phones right. That's how we're rolling. But we're gonna keep it that way because I truly believe people will understand that, opposed to a major production. People want real now. They want raw, man.
They
I know
want
I
real
do,
because we
and
don't want to
I'm not the
see
only
what's
one.
fake.
We already know that. We know it's fake. I would say 90% of everything's AI generated nowadays. So when they see something that is, we make mistakes, we might fumble around a little bit, might be a little long winded. They know that we're not playing games here, man. This is legit. We're coming with a cup. We take notes. We do prepare for it each show. Obviously, we have to, but we go off the cuff. So I'm proud of that, and we do a pretty darn good job of it, really.
Yeah.
But it helps to have great guests like Misty who had in the past, and Linda and I get along well too. So it's we have that duality. It's a beautiful thing. I'll just add on to Linda's point is it's part of our mission to help the collective, really, guys. That was part of my plan, and um, I'm going to continue down this path, because I don't want to see this suffering by people like myself, Misty, and others, and not be able to speak to somebody. So we already said it. We've got platforms for you. Reach out to us. Go to our YouTube site. Subscribe to us. Make some comments. Reach out, man. We're here for you. There's not a lot of support for this type of situation. So let us help you. We can. We've been through the fires, man, and we're still going through. That's the beauty of it. We're still working on ourselves as
Oh,
well,
yeah,
getting through it as well. Because we're not.
absolutely.
We say
Every
from the very
single
beginning,
day.
we're not there. We're not there, and we're not even trying to act like we are.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys respect that.
No,
Yes.
you
We'll
learn
respect
from
you as well.
people. The only way you can grow is to learn from people. So even if you are in a business, and even when I do life coach now with, the parents that I do, I still learn from them. You have to continue to learn. You have to want to learn. No one's perfect, not even the book.
No.
It doesn't match personal experiences, right?
No.
Everybody's personal experiences are completely different, and there's not a book that dictates everybody's own personal experiences to understand how they went through it. And what I may have done now, I didn't do 4 years ago. So
true.
that
So
is the
true.
good part about growing, is that you're changing. I like who I am now, but it was a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing good comes
Right.
easy, Misty. You know that.
Nope. But I actually thrive on that. So the harder it is, I think my dad used to tell me, how you get scholarships to school and then you go and then you quit, and how do you then go back and get a degree with 3 kids? What, could you just do it easy?
No, sometimes it's
No,
not
I
a way.
didn't. Nothing, not in EMS, not my degrees did I do anything
Well,
easy.
I think you're like me. It's subconsciously we're thinking, I don't want an easy road. I don't say that out loud, but I'm like, I don't
No,
want just
I
a
have to
boring
have a
life.
hard. I do. I
And
think
it's
it's
got me in
funny.
trouble at times,
It
but
does.
I
But isn't
try
that the
not to make
fun
it too
thing?
extreme anymore. It
I
is.
think it's fun. I don't
It
mind
keeps
being
me
in
moving.
trouble. Sometimes
It
that's
keeps me
funner.
moving.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, I love you guys, man. Appreciate
I
the
love you
time.
too. What we're going to
Thank
do
you for
today.
having me.
Phenomenal.
Well, we're
You're
so happy
welcome.
that you
You come back.
chose to come on, and that we're just grateful, and we want to have you again because there's so many other slices to this,
There is.
and I just think so. What we're going to do today is close it. We're going to convert it, and then we're going to do an instant premiere.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes.
That's it. That's new for us. So
We're gonna
just
drop it
bear
like
with
it's
me
hot.
because we're still in a Mercury retrograde, and technology sometimes is an issue. So that's our goal. Instant premiere today.
Love
So
it,
thank
Linda.
you for
Perfect.
joining
You
us.
read my mind.
Thank you for having me. Love you both.
Bye.
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 You're welcome. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
You too.